Of Banneker to the locker room of RFK Stadium. It's Inside Sports with your host, Harold Bell.
Well, Harold has been a crusader for the rights of black people all of his life. He has also been a crusader that have had a lot of friends, not only in the black community, but the white community in sports. And he's one of my friends over the years. We've done many things together. So Harold is truly a man that believes in his culture and his people and will always be that way because nobody's ever been able to change him. So, hey, that's my partner.
In the sports world today, everyone claims to be an insider. Harold Bell is the original insider. Washington Times sports columnist Dick Heller says Harold Bell is the godfather of sports talk, the good kind. He played message music such as Wake Up Everybody by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, What's Going On by his homeboy and friend Marvin Gaye, and the James Brown classic Black and Proud. He was the first on-air sports talk show personality to write commentaries and the first to host sports media roundtables. Harold Bell is the man for all seasons. He was the first sports media personality to involve pro athletes, politicians, judges, entertainers, and media personalities in his community endeavors. In November 1974, he became the first Afro-American to host and produce his own sports television special in prime time on NBC affiliate WRC-TV4 in Washington, D.C. His special guest, the greatest, Muhammad Ali.
And they say that friendship is like our shadows. They're sticking with you as long as you're in the sun, but once you cross over into the shade, the shadow disappears. How do you distinguish your friends?
Well, I wrote something once that says, friendship is a priceless gift that cannot be bought nor sold, but its value is far greater than a mountain made of gold. For gold is cold and lifeless, it can neither see nor hear. In time of trouble, it's powerless to cheer. It has no ears to listen, no heart to understand. It cannot bring you comfort or reach out a helping hand. So when you ask God for gifts, be thankful if he sends, not diamonds, pearls, or riches, but the love of real true friends.
Hey, this is Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight champion of the heavyweight world. I've done all of you to check out Inside Sports with my main man, Harold Bell. Inside Sports with the knockout.
Police Department K-9 unit, if you're inside, now stand out the house in this dog. Come on out! Come out now!
Send that dog in. Hey,
come out now!
How many more lives are going to be lost to this type of reckless activity? How many more young black lives will be lost? How many more families like Donovan's will need to appear in news conferences like this one before our leaders do enough to put a stop to these barbaric killings?
Whoa. Hands, hands.
Fight. I heard him in there.
Yeah,
go on, fight.
That dog's gonna bite you. Come out.
There was no justification, let me be clear, no justification for Officer Anderson to shoot an unarmed man trying to get out of bed as police officers were instructing him to do.
Off! Me, he'd come out like this.
Thank you, Gary. Hey, I want to welcome everybody to, of course, Zoom Sunday, Speak the Truth. And you know, this last week, We did a show on justice and just us. And here we're coming back today with part 2. You know, it wasn't too long ago when they shot Breonna Taylor in her bed with no gun. They keep shooting and we keep ducking. How long is this going to go on? How long is this going to go on? Today, I got a special guest, special friend, a guy that's been out in the community, been in the struggle for decades. And he's from New York City. And we happened to meet on the streets back in the day. Gary, let's hit that introduction of our special guest.
All right. One second here just to make sure. Hang on one second. And here, oh, this is the introduction for Brother Thorpe.
That's the shooting. That's the street shooting. Might as well run that.
Well, I got, which one? We got this one right here.
I want the one with him introducing himself.
Yeah.
Listening. I was hoping that other people in the community that will at least come out and listen, but I can understand how afraid you might be. My name is Leroy Thorpe. I'm the co-founder and chairman of Citizen Organized Patrol Efforts, the Red Hat Patrol Group. Our mission over here is to support you, but we at least need 1 or 2 people that's going to volunteer to take back their streets. Unfortunately, when you look at what happened here last Wednesday, where 5 people shot and some of them lost their life, and you look at the response, this is still a black community that's rapidly being gentrified. However, when you look at Wisconsin Avenue, when they had that mass shooting up there, they had the CIA, FBI, DEA, ATF, the mayor, everybody was up there. Everybody was up there because it was a white, affluent community, and these people basically, they vote. So they responded very quickly. But you look at a community like ours right here, which is black lives don't matter. It don't matter. And the only way they're going to matter if y'all get out here and start voting and throwing some of these people out of office.
Okay, that was, of course, Commissioner Leroy Thorpe. As I was saying, I met Leroy Thorpe over 3 decades ago when we were both in the streets, and Leroy is still out there in the struggle today. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my man, the one and only Mr. Leroy Thorpe. How you doing, Leroy?
Thank you, Harold. Let me just first of all say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I want to first of all bear witness, no God except Allah. Prophet Muhammad is his messenger, and also let people know I'm from the state of New York. I'm born in Beacon and raised in Glenham, which is a town of Fishkill. My father is from New York City. He was from Harlem. But anyway, I want to thank you for allowing me again to be on your show, Harold. I remember when I was a struggling graduate student at Howard University here in District of Columbia, as well as in graduate school at the University of DC. Man, you were basically feeding me, you and your wife. You're taking me around to Kids in Trouble events, introducing me to world-class athletes, Jim Brown, Mel Farr. I mean, I can't really just, I can sit there all day and talk about it, but you've always given back, always gave me a platform on your show, Inside Sports. And I'm very grateful. I never forget you. And it's just shameful that all the people that you helped over the decades, world-class athletes, man, John Thompson, you helped them get the Nike contract. He basically screwed you around. You helped Sugar Ray Leonard out. You helped a lot of people out, man. They never gave back to you, man. They never reached out to you to see how you can impact the community. But I'm one guy that always remember people that helped me, and you was one of those people. As well as I look at some of the participants here, Anthony Hood's only DC Zoning Commission Chairman, Class Act guy. He's here to observe. Hoping Jack Evans, the Ward 2 councilman, was going to get on here. He was at the rally. Also, Curtis Mosley, a legendary film producer and author at the Shaw. And then my frat brother, Dion Jay Dinkins. He's with the podcast. So these are folks that you know too, Harold. But I want to thank you, man, because you really do a lot of good work, man. And it's shameful that people in high places don't really appreciate what you do.
God got my back, Leroy. God got my back. He got my back.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what's happening, man. With you still out there with Cope and the red hats and still fighting in the streets, man, to get drugs out of our community, to look after our children. What kind of support are you getting? You know, I mean, you've been out there over 3 decades, and it doesn't sound good of what's going on.
Well, I'll tell you what happened is that about 2 Wednesdays ago, you had a mass shooting on the O Street block, right off of North Capitol O. You had 5 people shot, 3 people dead, senior citizens, and 2 people survived the gunshots. Prior to that, probably about a month or so ago, you had a shooting up there in the predominantly white community of Ward 3. You had a mass shooting up there. You had the FBI, CIA, DEA, ATF, the mayor, the police chief. Everybody responded up there because the affluent white ward where the people vote, and they wanted these people out of there, whoever did it. So they solved that problem real quick. To answer your question, no support from the government other than former Ward 2 Councilman Jack Evans, who was with me during the show when we shut down 56 documented crack houses. He supported me on that with the red hats, and also our last rally yesterday was like their 43rd rally since 1988. Politicians don't want to really support people that's out there doing the work. They want all the glory. They want you. They think that you work for them when they're elected to work for you, for the people. So no one has reached out to me. I imagine I want to ask you, have Alsabrook or any of the politicians reach out to you, because they don't reach out to me?
No, well, you know, it's the same wherever you go. Folks don't want to hear the truth. They run from the truth. Come on, Leroy, they run from the truth. It's the same thing out here in PG County. I've been in this area all my life, native Washingtonian, 4th generation, man. And my work speaks for itself. Now, also Brooks is getting some good advice and some bad advice about Harold Bell. She's paying attention to the bad advice. So I just keep on doing what I'm doing. But the struggle in DC seems to be the same for you. You know, yesterday, I mean, where is the chief of police? I mean, when I was doing my thing in Washington, and I've done it all over the area, I've had more police forums than anybody. You know, I've had I know dozens of police forums in this area in Virginia, DC, and Maryland. But it's the same thing. I had to give it up, Leroy, because the last time I did police forum at Ben's Chili Bowl, you know, I couldn't get any of the white cops out. I called down the 3rd district. I think the guy's name, I think you say he's supporting you now. That is the
you talking about Emmerman?
He was the commander down there.
Stuart Emmerman.
Yeah, he was down there. He gave me the runaround, told me he was going on vacation. And I said, well, how about sending a rep? And he said, I'll get back to you. He never got back to me. And then I understand he's the assistant chief. So who are we putting in place, man, to make sure there's an officer friendly, there's police community relations, that cops are out of those cars and they walk in the streets? Nobody's doing that. So we just had a new chief come in, and I don't even know this guy. He's from Washington, D.C. He grew up over Northeast, went to Spingarn High School, where I went. I never even heard of him until Bowser named him the chief of police. And he never came to any of my police forums. So I'm saying, who is he and what is he doing to support you, Leroy?
Well, let me just say this about Stuart, man. Stuart Emmerman, when he was with the 3rd District Police, he was a straight shooter with me. And there times he couldn't come to my bench because he was going on vacation. He's a straight shooter. I don't know what happened regarding that situation, but he is a guy that reached out to me. Originally, what happened, Harold, I'll tell you guys what happened. When that shooting happened at North Capitol O Street, I contacted the commander, James Boatler, who's the new commander, to tell him I wanted to go up there and do an anti-drug rally with the mission to get people involved, to eradicate this open-air drug market. As you know, Harold been up there for decades in this city, and it's notorious. Ran one street over from Hanover. So he said, no problem, you get back with me the next day. So he had somebody call me. I told him to make the flyer up. And the next thing I know, the deputy mayor for public safety, Chris Gildart's aide, Jasmine something, calling me, talking, oh, this is what we're going to do. I said, oh, wait a minute. This ain't what we're going to do. This is my event. I'm going to be speaking, and I know what I'm doing. They got offended because I wouldn't participate in a day event they had before my drug rally yesterday of some peace walk where they paying millions of dollars to these groups out here, people coming out of prison, and they're giving all the money to them to go out there to try to stop violence, but they're showing little to no results at all. So I didn't want to do a dog and pony show. So the next thing I know, I called the commander. I said, what's going on with what's going on with this? I heard you contact the deputy mayor's office. Oh, yeah, all hands on deck. I said, well, look, man, you don't know me because I ain't about showing pony stuff. He said, understood. So next day I called him. I said, what's going on with the transportation we need for the rally Saturday? Oh, sir, we are too busy for that. They're too busy now when they're up there and they can't come and get me. But because it's in a black community, a mass shooting. The white community, no problem. So what happened when I reached out to you, Harold, you wrote a scathing piece that shook everybody up. Cortland Malloy from the Washington Post gave you accolades. He saw what you wrote. I think Mel Pender, I think that's the guy, the Olympic gold medalist, reached out to you. Now everybody started getting shaken up because you got a platform with a live podcast, and you're a Hall of Fame black journalist. Now everybody's getting scared, and now they're trying to reach out now, but they're not really offering anything. What they're trying to do is get me to shut up, don't say nothing, and be one of these little go along to get along house Negroes, which I never will be. That's their bottom line.
Wow, and this is such a sad commentary, man. That what is happening to us is happening all over the country, and it's a shame, man, that when you stand up and you tell the truth, man, you become a troublemaker. And as you know, Leroy, I was down at the council hearings when they were trying to confirm Peter Newsham, who you were friends with. In fact, you introduced me to him at the council hearing. But I had already made up my mind because he had already showed me who he really was. And I was down there, and you didn't see me with no entourage. I was down there by myself. And I testified, and I felt that they had already decided they will give Peter Newsham the job. Peter Newsham was a corrupt cop, man, that he was found on a street corner dead drunk with his gun in his holster. He took records out of the property room that could have gotten him convicted. And I gave all this information to the mayor in her hands. I gave it to Eleanor Holmes Norton. I gave it to Murray Che, and they still confirmed this guy. And what did he do, Leroy? Crime went up. He did absolutely nothing. They put a stop and frisk thing order in. He and Bowser, where they they just harassed people over wards 7 and 8, man. And then what did Newsham do? He snuck out the back door without even telling Bowser and took a job next door in Frederick. They don't want to listen to people who've been in the struggle, like you, like myself, because you know what? They want to make like they know everything. But until, man, we bring these people out and vote them out of office, they should have never voted this woman, Bowser, in. It should never.
Let me piggyback on something you're saying that's very important. When you look at the District of Columbia, these so-called liberal politicians on the DC City Council, they're responsible for what's going on with the crime in this city. In the media, the white media don't want to say nothing because they got a white white deputy director for public safety in there. You got a white so-called chief of staff for the mayor. You got a white city administrator. You got a white leader for the Department of Human Services. You got a white leader for the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services. Every aspect in the District of Columbia where Black people need help, you got white people there that really don't care, don't have the experience or the contacts in the community to provide services for Black people that are suffering. But the city council in DC have to be blamed. because these are the ones that legalize marijuana. I see kids walking to school in the morning smoking marijuana. And how are they going to get their lessons? They're responsible for creating these drug addicts in this city and then graduating from marijuana to opioids. And like you said before, you talked about stop and frisk. Now you can walk around with DC with a gun, and the police officer asks you if you have a gun on you, you can say, go to hell. He can't do anything unless he has some hardcore evidence that you have a gun on them, because they did away with the stop and frisk. So all the stuff that's going on with the crime have to be put on the shoulders and the back of the DC City Council and Executive Office of Mayor. And people like me, they're afraid to talk to people like me, just like they're afraid to talk to Osabrook people out there in PG County are afraid to talk to you. Because you know why? You're going to tell them the truth. You have a plan. But I don't understand it. These folks are just so interested in being in office, maintaining being in office and hiring their friends. I see so many people I know that are incompetent that they're hiring, put them in the heads of government because it's political patronage jobs. They campaign for them. They give them money to their campaign, so they'll put them in a position. But it's hurting the city. People like me that don't take a penny, that earn my money legally. I don't get paid a whole lot of money for what I do. But the point is, I don't take no money from the city. I just have a love for going out there fighting crime and drugs and trying to liberate my people, just like you have done as a mentor for me for decades, Harold. So this is really what's going on. And Black people got to stop smiling and grinning when somebody want to come to their rally that's a public figure, thinking that power is going to rub off on them. Because they're going to be there that one day and they're not coming back no more. It's a show and pony show for the media. And the white media are not going after these white people in power like they do Black people. Because why? Because they're benefiting. So Black people got to learn how to vote and vote for people that got their interests at heart. Like you always say, every Black face is not your friend, and every white face is not your enemy.
Mm-hmm. You know, we got two Washingtonians here joining us. Of course, Gary is here every week with me. He's the guy, the nuts and bolts of Speak the Truth. And I got my dear friend, Lawrence Lucas, who has been fighting for the Black farmer for decades, been a part of this show. I would like to get some comments and questions from Gary or Lawrence, since you guys grew up in this city. And Lawrence, you may have been away for a while, but you are a native Washingtonian, man. And of course, what is happening here in DC is happening all over the country. So you guys, ask Leroy some questions or whatever you got on your mind.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Lucas. Just get off mute there, Mr. Lucas. There you go.
Yeah, my reaction is sad. I want to thank Mr. Thorpe because of the hard work he's put into trying to change things in DC. When you speak about leadership and when you speak about examples, I was thinking about when I was in high school, we had a police officer called Dixon, and he patrolled Brown, Phelps, and Spingarn. He made sure we stayed in and make sure criminals or people who didn't deserve to be there out. It's very frustrating for me who hear about what's going on in Washington, and I grew up there and moved about 22 years ago to New Jersey. But I'm constantly in contact, and Harold does a good job of keeping me connected to what's going on. The only thing I can say is, where are those leaders? And I think you're telling me that you're experiencing the same thing that I experienced in helping Black farmers and trying to solve the ills of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Our leaders are not leaders, they're followers. Our leaders who we voted in have become politicians who were one day staunch advocates for different causes. Our problem is that we don't hold those individuals accountable once they get into office. Now, the problem is when people are selected by the leaders and you had nothing to do with their election, that's problematic. And the only thing I can say is we have to work together and we have to expose whenever possible. And when you tell the truth, speak the truth about these issues and concerns, you're going to be attacked. If you're not attacked, you're going to be ignored. If not the latter two, they'll put something on the street that's false about you in order to control the flow of information that would be detrimental to their leadership and their cause. The only thing I can say is we have to continue, and what you're doing, Thorpe, is just remarkable. I've been following and listening to Harold for years. It frustrates me to know that you're going through the same thing in the city of Washington I'm going through at the U.S. Department of Agriculture and our Black leadership. Our Black leadership is absent. They don't have the political or the intestinal fortitude to do the right thing. And once they are elected, they become dependent on a salary and a power that they have. And that power is not put in the hands of people that's going to change things. It's only going to put power in the hands of people that'll keep them in power. Mm-hmm. That's the problem we've got in our communities around this country. And we have to not give up. We have to do what you're doing, and we have to continue to tell the truth. The only thing I can say, I admire you for what you're doing, but what you're doing and what you're explaining to us is the same thing that I and many advocates for Black farmers and many advocates for employees at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, for women who are being raped, for people who have to suffer racial epithet on the wall, have a hangman's noose introduced to them on their first day on the job at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, right there on Independence Avenue. So I know what you're going through, but the only thing I can say is we have to continue to stand our ground. We have to continue to communicate with each other. And we have to take these kinds of forums that are open to us to expose this in order to bring about change. The only thing I can say is thank you. And the only thing I can say is also, we just have to figure out ways where we have to continue to support each other. Right. And I thank you for all the work you're doing. And of course, what Gary is doing and what Harold's doing is just a piece of what is needed. But until we can wake up these people that put in these people that elect us, things are not going to change because there's nobody around holding them accountable for their actions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Gary, your mom was a DC police officer. You grew up in a law enforcement home. Tell us what you think about what's going on and the struggle that Leroy is going through in DC. I know you moved to Florida now, but you got children here, your mom's here, your sister's here. Tell us what you think about this situation.
Well, when your mother's a cop, and that means most of her coworkers and friends, and my godmother was also a cop, Maddie Taylor. She was also ran on the school board when Marion Barry was there. And my aunt was a cop. And the guy that you see in the background was a family friend, Tillman O'Brien. And then there's a guy that also was a family friend that you also knew, that you see right there, who rose to be chief, Bertel Jefferson. These guys, this was a different kind of police officer then. They were in the streets they would get out the cars and they would walk the beat. Because I can tell you, as a young man in high school, outside of Coolidge High School, I was hanging out with my friends one day, should have been in class, and a car pulled up, police officer, came out in front of my friends. It was Bertel Jefferson, and he came up to me, he says, Gary Johnson, Ernestine Johnson's son, come on in here, get over here. Put me in the back of the car. Oh my goodness. And made it look like I was in, and then all he did was just drive me around the corner to the front of the school and say, get your butt back in there. But boy, my street credibility went up, man, because they said, man, they put Johnson in the back of the car and he did this. Now, all that sounded good till I got home. And I had to face the piper when I got home for what was I doing out on that street corner instead of being in that class. But that was the accountability. And I had one officer tell me the difference now is back then, police officers were part of the community, officer friendly. You got to know them. I mean, I remember when it got really hot in our neighborhood, police officers would come around and with the guys and they'd open up the fire hydrant so we could cool off as kids, you know? We knew who those officers were. Not the same now. Not the same now. You say the police are coming now, boy, they run. You say the police coming back when I was growing up, we kind of go up there just to see to meet them again, because we knew them.
Mm-hmm. Well, also I see joining us a guy who's really been out there in the community and a guy that's really been capturing what is really going on with our young people, man, all these murders. And he's a dear friend of, in fact, I met him through Leroy Thorpe. And he is, I am really proud of, man, what he has captured on film, man, with young people, the real deal. And I want to welcome Curtis Mosley, Moxie on Speak the Truth. And we just got through looking at a video clip that he had done of the shooting up on O Street. C. Webb, come on in here and tell us what's happening.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah, how's it going? No, man, Leroy, Mr. Thorpe.
What's up, baby? What's up?
Going, man? Good to see y'all, man. Glad to be here, man. It's a great show, man. You know, I'm out here in the community at 7 and 0, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna be here from 4 to 12. So, you know, out here just you know, just in the community, you know, interacting with the people, and hopefully the violence won't occur. Because we worked last night and it went break last night.
Nobody does it better than you, Kurt. Nobody does it better than you. And let me just tell you, this guy, Curtis Mosley, what's his name? The guy, I forgot his name. What's that guy that's Chris Webber?
Yeah, Chris Webber.
Chris Webber got a lot of respect for him, and also the rapper out of New York City named Nas, saying this guy, just like Harold Bell, should be getting millions of dollars for what they're doing.
Yeah, he had. You should see this tale of the tape, man, that he put together of these murders going on. He's been there on the scene while it's happening, man. And these folks got so much respect for C. Webb, man. They you know, the parents come out and the kids come out and tell him the real deal of what's going on. And this is one of the young people that's out there doing this. And he should be made a part of the structure, man, because the people that they're bringing in don't have a clue to what's going on. And we got
Harold, you know what? The shame is that this guy has to make a living, and he's basically surviving. He worked for the Department of Department of Recreation in DC, and the man ain't getting paid a penny. All the skills he got, all the contacts he got out there, the mayor haven't talked to him to use them. The police haven't asked him to get on there. They're forced to use them, and he's in the same situation I'm in.
Wow. Now C. Webb is with the DC Recreation Pop. You know, I was with the elite moving leaders back in the day, and and nowhere like C. Webb is. He's right in the middle of it, man. And it's a shame. This is the kind of talent that we're talking about that they don't use. They don't use. That's the problem, man. Because you know what? They're envy and jealous of this young brother, man. That could really be out there helping others, man. That's what, man, you know, I just shake my head, man, and keep getting up. And I tell you what happened in Leroy Webb's is that we didn't even know that this was going to happen. That I got an email from Cortland Malloy, who's been a columnist for the Washington Post for several decades. And me and Cortland have gone at it, but you know what? This brother came out and said, man, it's a shame, man. You've been telling the truth for years, telling what the real deal is out there, and they don't want to hear from you. Just keep on doing. You're an excellent writer. You know how to tell a story. And man, I just want to know, man, that, I appreciate you. That's what we need, even though Cortland and Leroy, he'll tell you, Leroy has disagreed with Cortland, but you know what? Cortland stood up to be a man, because what he did when he came out something like that, even though it wasn't in his column, just for to put it in an email saying, hey, Harold, I believe in you. Leroy, I believe in you. Keep on doing the great things that you're doing. And that's what's happening. Come on in and see where it's
Yeah, Brother Harold, like I was telling Thorpe, I had the worst nightmare the other day. The worst nightmare I could ever imagine. I'm telling you this nightmare. I dream, you close your eyes, right? And I imagine the day that Thorpe stepped down, he retired. I'm gonna say to myself, wow, it's like scary, man. It's like, how are we gonna be able to combat these people out here that's out there not trying to, do right for us? You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't imagine a community without Leroy Thorpe, and is scary, because at some point he needs to sit down, relax, and say, hey, I'm gonna start living for me now, because he's been fighting for people for years. You know what I'm saying? So that's a scary dream,
See, where people like us never stop. We never stop, man. I continue. I'm 84 years old. I'm still in the struggle. I may not be out there physically, but it's such gratifying to see that young men like you are still out there, man, trying to help. And this leadership does not appreciate what you're doing. Why? You're a good guy, but that's how we operate.
Harold.
Yeah.
Let me say, I want to piggyback on what Mr. Lawrence Lucas was saying. You coming to my aid when this went down. The Board of Zoning Chairman Anthony Hood, who's basically observer, coming to my aid. Cortland Malloy coming to my aid. Harold, your friend Mel Pender Olympic coming to my aid. These are Black people coming to each other aid that Mr. Lucas talked about. And this is what has to happen. But let me just tell you what's going to happen in DC and what's happening. Allah knows best. I'm thinking that you're going to see less and less Black people in this city being elected. You know why? Because these white politicians, Black politicians are catering to these white voters, and they're pushing these Blacks out. That means they're not going to get no votes. And when they really get the power base, then you'll see less and less Black leadership, unless they become some so-called token lackeys and house Negroes and Negresses.
Well, let me say this, man. It's a shame, but we got spooks that sit by the door. And I want Gary to run this video of these racist cops in California, how they're exchanging racist emails with another city. Gary, will you run that video, please?
All right. Here we go. Let me make sure we got that. I got it. Yeah, I just got to cue it up. It was out of order. Well, here we go.
Text messages exposed. Let me give you some background to this. Let's put up the picture of this young man who's at the center of this. A day after Torrance police shot Christopher DeAndre Mitchell, this was in 2018. His mother and a dozen of his loved ones staged a protest outside of the department headquarters. Keep that picture up. In an update, even more repulsive racist text messages shared between cops in California, Torrance Police Department have surfaced, causing local residents to say the force is too biased to keep the town safe. While the department became embroiled in scandal last year, when cops' racist text messages first came to light, the Los Angeles Times reported Thursday that new court documents revealed even more vile messages shared between officers on the force, with cops using the N-word and joking about killing Black people. Killing Black people. In one exchange, according to the Times, a group of cops complained about a group of Black people gathering outside of the police station after their family member was shot and killed by the police. Was going to tell you all those N-words family members are all pissed off in front of the station, one officer said, according to the Times report. Now, they are literally there at the police station because a loved one has been killed by the police. They believe that the killing was unjustified and rooted in racial bias. How do the police respond to this? By showing their bias in the text messages they send to each other, showing their disdain for the humanity of Black people. There's more. Officers then allegedly joked about a gun cleaning party if the identities of the cops who shot the Black man became public. Yes, absolutely. Let's all just post in our yard with lawn chairs and a firing squad. Another officer replied, according to the documents obtained by the Times. You see, the scandal first erupted back in December of 2021. So I gotta take you back. That's when the LA Times released a trove of racist and discriminatory messages sent by Torrance officers. In those, the cops shared an image of Black men who had been lynched, joking that they were hanging with the homies, as they put in the text messages. Another text message said cops should break a tail light on a Black man's car and shoot him if he was caught having an affair with one of the officer's girlfriends. The messages also showed that officers joked about gassing Jewish people and assaulting members of the LGBTQ plus community. The scandal prompted an investigation from the state attorney general's office. That's according to Fox 11. LA reported that criminal cases in which the officers were involved continue to be dismissed. And at least one man has been released from prison. Lawsuits filed against officers involved have already cost Torrance more than $10 million. Once again, defunding the police by way of the police. Still, most of the officers implicated remain employed by the city. Let's put up two pictures here. Let's put them up. The officers involved in the text message exchange include Christopher Tomsick and David Chandler. The exact number of officers still unclear, but 15 of them, 15, have already been placed on administrative leave so far in relation to racist text messages being released, okay? Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem. They have been placed on administrative leave, not fired. They have been placed on administrative leave. They are still getting paid money. They are likely going to come back to the department because others have had their cases dismissed even when there was validated criminal conduct by the cop. This is called culture. They do have an anti-racism policy on the books. They have an anti-discriminatory policy. They all sign up and say, yes, I will faithfully execute the office of blah, blah, blah. And they sign a sheet of paper, they swear an oath, and the policy is accurate, the policy is appropriate. But as I say all the time, culture eats policy alive every day of the week. This is culture. This is culture. And the fact that they are able to still get paid shows you how deep the culture permeates. There's a reason why these cops are not shown the door. You know why? Because if they leave, if they get on the chopping block, they got some people they can snitch on, such as their sergeant, their captain, and maybe even their chief. So when you see these cops remain in position and you scratch your head and you wonder why, understand that they're connected to a superior complex or a supervisor complex that engages in the same culture as they believe in. That's why. All right, put up the chief here. There he is, Jeremiah Hart. He is the head Klansman, the head chief for that police department. Sharing thoughts here.
You know, my thought is, I wish they'd be less brazen and more creative. You know, you have a whole lot of people, if you're just a little more creative, why not just fight?
Back in there, I want to say, the problem is, man, is this. Why this starts at the top. All of this racism starts at the top. But does it make any difference if the chiefs of these departments are Black? Right now, we just had a guy by the name of Michael Cox in Boston take over as police chief there. And 25 years ago, white cops beat him up while he was on duty, undercover. They almost beat him to death. But he hung in there. And now he has come back as the chief of the Boston Police Department. And guess what? A couple of those guys who beat him are still working there. Would you believe that? I want to know this. I want somebody to ask this question. Does it make any difference if the chief of the police departments around this country are black? Is anything going to change? I want you to know there was a black chief in Atlanta when they shot that kid in the back at the Wendy's. There was a black chief in Ohio where this kid just got shot in bed. There's a black female chief. There's a black chief in Montgomery County, Maryland, right here near us. There's a black chief in Prince George's County. There's a black sheriff in Prince George's County in charge. We got a black chief in DC. We got a black chief in Alexandria, Virginia. All these black chiefs, and this stuff still right here in our own area is still going on. I remember Political Magazine wrote when the thing was going on out in Ferguson, they said that Prince George's County was the Ferguson next door, meaning that we might erupt anytime. So does black chiefs stay in character with their white counterparts that were there? Does anything change? I want somebody to answer that question for me.
Can I take a stab at that? Let me take a stab at that. You know, most of these black politicians, public figures, and these law enforcement officers, they got to cater to these white folks, man. But they're going to be out of there. Look at the District of Columbia. You got a white deputy mayor for public safety. Don't know a clue about fighting crime and drugs.
Nothing. Scared
to death of me. And if somebody like Kurt and anybody else out there like you, Harold, that's doing work in PG County, scared of you, there's nothing going to change, man. Because that's what I was telling the police chief here just the other day. And he's my frat brother. I said, man, you weak, man. You're going to have to start giving your own plan and stop playing politics. Now, there was one difference. I can tell you one difference where a guy that made a difference in DC and he made a difference in Philly, Chief Charles Ramsey. Okay? He didn't mess around. He was not, Adrian Fenty got rid of him because Adrian Fenty wanted to be the main alpha dog. Mm-hmm. Me and Ramsey was really, really tight. He was his own man. He didn't play games with the media. He didn't play games with them politicians. And when he spoke like a man, and he spoke with a plan. That's the only police chief I ever seen in my life that was black, took pride in being black, and took pride in trying to really do something with the authority that he had without fearing white people or the political type of games that's being played today.
Leroy, Conti had the nerve to say that Ramsey was his mentor. When did he? I told
Conti just the other day, we were emailing each other. I said, man, you ain't nothing like Ramsey. Okay, you're nothing like Ramsey. Me and Ramsey was very, very close. And if you see him today, he'll tell you that, because when he left DC, because he said, I'm going to resign because I'm not going to let Fenty send me a text message like he did another public official to fire me. I'm getting out of here. And he took a job in Philadelphia. He originally was going to take one in Baltimore, but the mayor up there at the time was corrupt. So he went to Philly. But here's what the deal is, man. He's nothing. Conti's nothing like that. Now, I don't have nothing against Conti. He's a young guy. He should know better. He grew up at 21st over there up there, 21st, Carver Terrace.
Yeah,
and come on, that's off the hook right now. Mm-hmm. But he's a black man growing up in this city, man, and he ain't showing no courage. No courage at all, man.
Yeah. One of our guests was supposed to be here today. I don't know what happened to him, man. Matthew Fall, who's an American hero when it comes to law enforcement. He's a former U.S. Marshal, DEA agent, traveled the world, and you talking about a real cop, man. He's a real hero, and I'm sorry that he's not here. He has a book coming out called Badges and Bigots, and I was going to ask him, why don't he change it to Badges, Bigots, and Cowards? Because that's what we got in our police departments all over the country. And you saw what happened in Texas. You saw all them little kids get killed because they had a bunch of cowards out there scared to go in and take this guy out. They allowed him to kill those teachers and kids. Those are the kind of cowards that we got. Once they put a badge and gun on, all of a sudden they become men. They become bullies. And Leroy, one thing, if my brother Earl Bull Bell, and my brother Bobby were U.S. Marshals. If you were on something like you were on over the weekend, they would have been right there standing by you.
That's right.
You don't have cops like that anymore, man. They're scared. They're scared of their own people, man. And they're scared of those little jobs because they figure they got the power with that gun and that badge, man. And you got a guy like Conti, which is really sorry. And you got a person like Bowser. She ain't never done nothing in the community. And we got these people. Also, Brooke, her father was in the community. She didn't know about no community. So they go along to get along. And that's sad for our children, man. Okay,
let me say this to you too. This guy that I'm having an issue with at the 3rd District, this commander, James Butler, allegedly some of my friends, black activists and former commissioners from Ward 8 Southeast were telling me that this guy, they used to call him James Madison, the racist U.S. president, allegedly, James Madison. This guy is the one that's causing me problems because I don't think he is used to dealing with black people that's an independent thinker, that's strong and that type of thing. I think he used to manipulating black people and getting his own way. And I was telling the police department that I believe this guy, according to my interaction with him and whatnot, is that he's kind of racist. He ain't used to black people and he really shouldn't be in that department because that department should be trying to help people. This man refused to give me transportation to the rally after promising that he's going to do it because I wouldn't walk with the white deputy mayor for public safety in a show and pony so-called peace walk they had the day before my rally yesterday. So these are people that, when I look at Conti having people like that and on his team, that tells me that he's really not his own man. Somebody basically is controlling him, and it's a shame.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Oh, one more thing. Let me just say one more thing. There's a guy that was earlier listening to your broadcast, Sergeant Irvin Bolton for 3D, Native Washingtonian, class act. He's the only guy that I trust. And I told the police department, I can't find, until I find somebody else, I got to just be with him when I'm on the streets because he understands black people, very intelligent, Native Washingtonian. He's the only black guy that I trust on the police department right now.
Gary, we got somebody else out there that's joining us that might want to say something. Gary, you see him?
Yeah, I want to make sure we can get him off mute and pronounce it. Is it Abasi?
Abasi.
You're on mute. Take yourself off mute and feel free to join us.
Abasi, take yourself off.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Abasi.
Yeah. It's Mosey.
Very educative to listen to you guys. But I thought it's a man of his words. I'm very respectful of him. I understand the politics of the District of Columbia because I've been here for 51 years. But it's all well and good. These discussions are very, very important and unnecessary. There are forms of advice that are good for us in the Black community because of the simple fact that if you look at all the police departments in the country, from the national level to the municipal level, they are predominantly white. But today, for one reason or the other, you find a few of our brothers alike who are heads of this different department. But does the policy change, the approach change? Not as I know, as far as I know, nothing has changed. So we'll continue to advocate. So if you ask me for my own 2 cents, that's what I can contribute to.
Well, you know,
thank you.
You know, Mr. Abasi, you know, there are very few of us out here that our word means anything. I understand. My word is the only thing that I own in America.
Yes.
Everything else from me. They can take my car, they can take my money out of the bank, but they can't take your word. And Black folks don't understand that, man. You got to be a man of your word. I don't care who you see in the streets that have been in touch with Harold Bell, can none of them ever say Harold Bell didn't keep his word to me. At least he tried. I mean, the people that I done got out of jail is unheard of. I got early releases from. I I got Earl Lord, the first black to play in the NBA Hall of Fame when they ignored him. I got Willie Wood, the great Green Bay Packer. I campaigned to get him in the Hall of Fame, but you know who was behind me? I had some great white brothers behind me, like Red Auerbach and Dick Heller from the Washington News, man. You know, we got to stand up for each other, man. We're scared to stand up. And look, if you don't take no risk, there's no reward. No reward.
Yes.
Go ahead, Abasi.
No, yes, indeed, that's the truth. You have to take risk. You know, with risk, with rewards comes with risk. You can't get a reward if you don't take a risk. So, I mean, talking, I don't think we'll get into trouble in this land. So we got to talk.
Yeah, got to speak up.
Yes.
Got to speak up. Well, we can to get out of here. I want to go around the room and give everybody a chance, a minute to wrap this up. Let's start out with Lawrence. Lawrence, come on back in, Lawrence. Close this out.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, and I thank all the gentlemen who are your guests today, and say that it takes courage, it takes perseverance, and the demand for accountability from your leaders is something that you must continue to do. It's a must, because if they're not held accountable for their actions, we're not going to get any change.
That's right.
So I just want to say thank you.
Okay, come on in, see Webb. See Webb.
Yes. I want to say thanks for letting me be here today, but also we got to keep fighting. We got to keep pushing forward. You know what I'm saying? And I know where my lane is at, and I know where I'm able to do it in my lane. But I got to continue to let those who has experience and has the know-how, I continue to let them lead, and I'll be their support. So let's say keep fighting.
You keep out there, man. You keep on, man, doing what you're doing. We need you, man, and don't give up, man. I'm telling you, I could have been giving up. I decided I'm not giving up, man. I'm as long as these kids out here struggling the way they are, they always want to ask you, what's wrong with our kids? It's not our kids, they're adults. You know, whether it's at home, whether it's at school, the leadership, it's the adults, man. These kids are watching everything that we do. They don't miss a beat, man.
Nope.
Talk about what's wrong with the kids. We are what's wrong with our children. Mr. Abasi, you got 1 minute.
Thank you very much. It's been a blessing to listen to you guys with a lot of wisdom concerning our society. Pray and continue to ask God Almighty to guide us and to give us, as late Reverend Akin said, deliver us into the promised land. Thank you all very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, Leroy, close it out. You have 1 minute.
Well, first I want to thank you, Brother Harold Bell, with the blessing of Allah. May Allah bless all of us to unite, keep you healthy, Harold, you and your wife and your family and your producer and your co-producer and all the guests and raise Black people out of the so-called situation we are into something that's good and grant us paradise. I mean.
Harold, I want to add something real quickly. You don't have to stay in your lane, young man. If you're gonna approach it with the idea that you're gonna be a bull in the china closet in order to bring about change. You don't have to stay in your lane at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Talent, that's right. I just want to say, as I get out before I turn it over to Larry, I just want everybody to say, I've been saying this for decades, that every Black face you see is not your brother or sister, and every white face is not your enemy. I had a friend of mine, man, call me a racist. This girl been knowing me for 40 plus years, all because I didn't go along with this white lawyer that she recommended to me, who was trying to scam me. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And she called me a racist. I couldn't believe that, man. And that kind of stuff hurts, but you know what you're doing? You keep on moving. Because one thing I found out, that you cannot soar with eagles if you go hang out with chickens. And I ain't hanging out with no chickens. All right, Gary.
You know what? I'm going to get my 2 cents in. My grandmother told me one time, she says, I told her one of my teachers called me an agitator in class. And she said, don't worry about it, baby. She said, an agitator is the thing in the washing machine that gets the dirt out. So you just keep on being an agitator.
I was by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking back down on the knee. There've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able, Father, to carry on. And it's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it is, yes it is, yes it is. Said I know that a change is gonna come one day. I know a change